Gina, and in this video I'm going to be going through all of the garments that I made in 2025. I am going to start with some end of December 2024 makes, just because I am not going all the way up through the end of December in this video. I'm recording this on December the 26th, so I probably will have another finished object or two before the end of this year, but that will go into next year's video if I do this again. I am only going to do garments in this video because if I were to do everything I knit, we would probably be here for hours. So I have, I think, 27 garments, adult garments to show in this video. I will put over to the side a little rundown of the pattern, the designer, what size I made, the yarn or yarns that I used, and also a little rating of the project, which is not any commentary on the patterns, but just my overall feelings about the finished object and my satisfaction with it. So totally arbitrary. Let's see, I'm doing it out of 5. So 5 little happy yarny kittens is the highest, and 1 would be the lowest. There's no 1, so. And I am not going to be changing my other clothes during this, so I would not necessarily style all of these garments in this way, but I'm gonna show you them with jeans, and I also have a, what do you call it? Tank top type thing, because some of these are lace and do need something underneath. So first up is my low tight sweater. This is a pattern by Rachel Ilsley of Unwind Knitwear, and I made this, let me get my notes here. I made this starting, I think I started it the day the pattern dropped, which was September 21st. I had been seeing this one, the testing versions of this on Instagram, and had just been dying to start it. So September 21st, but then it languished on my needles as other test knits, I think, came up and prevented me from working on it monogamously. So I did not actually finish this until December the 22nd. And I made the size 4 in Knit Picks Stroll, which is one of their sock yarns, in Dogwood Heather colorway. And this is just an amazing lace and cable piece. Let me back up so you can see the whole thing. And it's incredibly detailed. I remember the beginning of it is quite fiddly, because you very quickly go into the lace on this. Like, there's no real deep collar. There were 2 different collar options, and I chose the one that would be lower because I don't like a high neck. Let's see, and I gave this one 4 kitties out of 5 just because I'm a little annoyed with myself. So it's fairly typical for me to need to deepen my yoke because I have a large bust. For my full bust is quite large for my overall frame, and so I frequently have to do some adjusting in order to make room for it, but also get something that fits through the shoulders. And so I made this a little deeper, and it was fine until I blocked it. I hadn't really accounted for the fact that this is lace, and lace really opens up, and also this is a very this is a superwash yarn, and so it lengthened quite a bit when I blocked it. Everything lengthened. So my sleeves lengthened, which I went longer on those, and the sleeves are fine, but it's just a little longer than it should be through this part, and so just a little less happy with that. I was also using a much thinner yarn than what was used in the sample. It was some kind of special possum yarn, which has like a lot of halo, and I think is probably a little bit thicker than this yarn was. So mine doesn't look quite like the samples, but overall, I mean, I still think it's very pretty. And I'm happy with it, and it's super light, so that's nice. That means I can get a little more wear out of it because it doesn't get super cold here for very much of the year. So overall, I highly recommend this one, and I do like it. I'm just a little annoyed with myself, but the pattern is wonderful. Highly, highly recommend. So that's number one. All right, next up is my Opa Cardigan by Lisa Chemery. Sorry, I have no idea how to pronounce her name. I thought it was probably not it at all because I think she's French. Let's see, her designer name is Froganette. And I made this cardigan out of Nutiden. And I'll have the colors over here. I do not remember the names of those. Nutiden just does special runs. You can only get the colors at the time that they're released, and I had been interested, curious to try Nutiden, and got a sweaters-ish quantity of it a couple of years ago for my birthday, and finally got it knitted up. I love this cardigan. This was on my needles from December 16th through 26th, so it was a very, very quick knit. I really enjoyed making it. My favorite part of it are the pockets. This is an around the house cardigan, and I wore it so much. I probably wore this more than any of my other garments last year just because I wore it all the time. Kind of, it's like a house coat. Whenever I was home, I would just put this on top of whatever I was wearing. I'm wearing it next to my skin right now. I can do that on my arms. That doesn't bother me. I don't think I would want this next to my super sensitive skin. But overall, I think it's great for what it is, which is outerwear. It's definitely softer than Let Lopey or something like that would be. I have not depilled any of my garments, so you are getting a real view of what it looks like after a year of hard wear. And I definitely have pilling. And I have pulled some of the bigger pills off of here. And I'm sure I could get this looking pretty decent again. But it does pill, as it's quite soft. But yeah, I loved making this. I mean, it was a little bit of a pain to work with the yarn, because it is in, what do they call them? Plates. And so it's not a portable project at all. I tend to be a pretty rough and tight knitter. And so I had to very carefully unwind myself several yards at a time and knit to the end of the row and then unwind some more. Otherwise I was constantly breaking it. But once I sort of figured out how I had to work with it, it was fine. It's splices back together very easily. So if you do break it, it's no big deal. Yeah. And so I think I have this one at 5 out of 5. I love this. I also did add short row bust darts to this. I saw in my project notes on Ravelry. And so because of that, it hangs pretty straight because I need a full bust adjustment if I want my garments to be as long in the front as they are in the back. All right, so yeah, number 2, very, very happy with this one. All right, next one that is very well known around the internet, and this is the Porcelain Sweater by Knit or Lena Holmes Samso. I knit the size 4. I'm not sure if I've been saying that, but I think I've knit size 4 of everything I've done up to this point. So yes, this is a very oversized pullover. Sorry about the wrinkles. It has been folded up in my closet. And I knit this up in Knit Picks palette held with Aloft. The colors are cream for the palette and oat for the Aloft and celestial for the palette and denim for the Aloft. I wanted the Celestial in the Aloft as well, but they didn't have that at the time that I ordered this, which was, I bought the yarn full price for me, which is like incredibly unusual, but I bought it with Christmas money because I was like, I want this. I've decided I'm doing it. I want these colors. I don't want to wait and see if they ever go on sale. Yeah, so I have really enjoyed wearing this one. I think it's a gorgeous pattern. I love the original cream and blue. Let's see, what do I have to say about this one? I did not enjoy working the top portion because it is color work knit flat for this section here and in the back. But it was relatively short because this basically is a DK worsted weight. It's quite an open gauge that you're knitting at, so it does go really quickly. And let me turn around so you can see the back. So it's quite long, quite oversized, and I didn't do any kind of adjustments on this one whatsoever. It was already so oversized. I didn't think there was any reason to lengthen the bust, but you can see how even when it's very oversized, it still pulls up in the front compared to the back. So my back is down here and my front is right here, but in oversized, it's not quite as bad or as noticeable and in these longer lengths. So yeah, so that's really all about this one. I think I gave this one 5 out of 5. I really liked it. The only way it could have been better is if I didn't have to knit this part flat, but I don't know how you would do that. Well, you could do it by steeking the armholes, and I did think about doing that, but I just ended up being lazy and just saying I want to be able to follow the pattern and not worry about it. I did follow some Ravelers tips because I found something confusing, I remember, about the shoulders and what you're doing with your yarn tails. And so I did find other Ravelers notes to be really helpful on this one, to understanding what it was that the pattern designer was asking us to do. But yeah, overall, really like this one. Definitely recommend the pattern. All right, this is number 4. This is the Arctic Light Sweater by Kudavokika or Veronica Lindberg. Let's see, I made this in the size large. It was on my needles from December, let me see, what do my notes say? December 23rd to February the 6th. I knit it out of Knit Picks You and Billy, and which is a merino and mohair combination yarn. That's too bad when I get so far out here you can't see the detail on this one, because all the cabling really is beautiful. Okay, so this is one of my most unhappy makes. So let's see. So the first reason that I rate this project lower is this business here. There is just, I don't know, I call them my arm flaps, just major flappage happening here. There's just a bunch of extra fabric and it bunches up, and it does it under both armpits. And I think that is likely caused by these cables in here, which are have a different tension than the moss stitch. Or seed stitch or whatever it was that this is in here. And this seems to be worse on the larger sizes. Like the larger the sizes go up, the worse that looks. So it could also be some kind of design flaw. Also, that brings me to my second issue with this, which is that there is no short row shaping whatsoever in this. So the front is the exact same as the back. you're doing exactly the same thing, which means that it's constantly like pulling up and choking. And I don't like a high neckline. I don't like stuff touching high up on my neck. And so that really annoys me. And then this poor sweater, as if all that wasn't enough, earlier this summer, at the end of the wearing season, I had washed this and had put it in my washing machine to spin out. So like I, wash stuff in a basin, and then I will move my garments over into my washing machine and have it spin the water out. And then they don't take very long to dry. Once I do that, like I lay them flat to dry. So I put this in the washing machine, but I forgot to get it out, when that 10 minutes or whatever was up. And my teenage son did a load of laundry sometime after this had been sitting there in the washing machine, and he didn't see it, which I probably wouldn't either see one single garment laying in the bottom of the washing machine. And so he threw in a load of his clothes, including jeans, and washed those. And like his cycle was running when I heard it, and all of a sudden, I realized, oh no, I left that in. And so I had to wait until his cycle was over and pulled it out, and didn't know what I would find. Like whether it would be the size of a child sweater or it was going to be okay. And I pulled it out and it looked pretty okay. And yeah, I blocked it, stretched everything out as much as I could, and it is still wearable. It is not as, it's not as oversized, as loose as it used to be. It has definitely felted a little bit, but I think the stitch definition still looks actually pretty good, considering this is not a washable yarn. So, yeah, did I say this is You and Billy, Knit Picks You and Billy in the color Smokestack? I think this color is incredible. I absolutely love it. Just wants to focus on my face and not the pretty cabling. But yeah, the cabling is gorgeous. This had a ton of work in it, and it makes me sad that I don't love it as much as the work would suggest. This is one of the ones where I do feel like the pattern has some issues, and that is part of why I'm less happy with this one. So I guess I lied when I said like none of these are the pattern's fault. Like this one, I do think like if it had short rows, it would be different. And I do think there's something wrong with this section to create these weird arm flaps. But I will still wear it. It's a great Valentine's color. I wore it at Christmas time. Yeah, so that is make number 4. All right, number 5 is the Zipper Sweater Light by Petite Knit. I knit the size extra large. This one is of course all about the zippered collar. Oh, that's really tight on me. I never wear it all the way up like that. Yeah, and I knit mine in Knit Picks Caterpillar. This was like I think it was like a closeout yarn of Baroccos that Knit Pick carried a couple of years ago during their big sale. And this color is called Birdwing, and it's this beautiful green, bluish green, heathered color, and it's got some halo to it. It's super pretty. I love this piece. I love this yarn. Yeah, so let's see, Zipper Sweater Light by Petite Knit. I think it calls for a DK, and this might be a sport. Maybe it's a DK. I don't remember. Knit Picks doesn't have this anymore. Like I said, this was kind of like a one-off thing. Stand on my tippy toes so you can see. I last fall made the Wool & Pines Stowaway pullover, which it's got a kangaroo pocket on the front. And when I first made that, I was like, I don't know how much wear I'm gonna get out of something that's like a very casual piece and isn't really wearable to the office, say. And so I was kind of, yeah, like on the fence. I made it. I enjoyed making it, but I just wasn't sure how much wear I was going to get out of it. And then I found myself wearing it all throughout the fall, on the weekends and just in the evenings when I would come home from work. And so because of that, I decided I needed more around the house kind of knits, and that's what this is. It is intended to just be kind of like a sweatshirt, and I have super enjoyed it for that purpose. I think the fit on this is really nice. It's oversized without being hugely oversized. And I get compliments on this one when I wear it, you know, out shopping on Saturday. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I guess petite knit is popular for a reason. I don't know that I'm still not going to make a bunch of petite knit patterns because they're often quite simple and boring, but I've actually, you will see later, I did this pattern again in a different yarn and modified. So yeah, number 5. Oh, I didn't tell you how long this one took. I started this on December 30th and finished it on February the 16th. So not too long. I think the neckline, the neck stuff took probably the longest, and then doing the zipper, which was a little bit scary because I had never sewn in my knits before. Yep, number 6. I think I gave this one 5 out of 5. Very happy with it. All right, and this is not number 6. I'm still in number 5 here. Number 6 is the Classic Lines cardigan. I will put a picture of it up here before I do the stats and stuff on it. This was, I don't have it with me. It's actually in my office at work, because I took it up there in order to have just a really light little cardigan that I could put on. So this is a pattern by Allison Backus. At the time that I downloaded it, it was free. Knitpicks was doing a big thing for their 20th anniversary, 25th anniversary, some big anniversary where they had redone some of their classic patterns, and this was one of them. And I had never knit and lace before, and so I decided to give it a try. The called for yarn for this one, which is also what I used, is alpaca cloud lace from Knitpicks, and I actually used the suggested colors, which were Diana and Anna. And you hold the main color double throughout, and then whenever you have the silver line in there, you're also holding the contrast color in there with it. So so sometimes you have 3 strands. Yeah, so it was really interesting to knit. I knit it up very quickly initially. So let me give you the dates on this one. I cast this one on January 11th, 2024, and then finally finished it March 14th, 2025. So yeah, I cast it on in January and then knit pretty much, I had completed everything except for the button band by March of that year. So from January 2024 to March 2024. And then it just sat in a bag for a literal year before I finally was like, okay, you got to get that out. I think the reason that I had put it on hold was because you knit the collar, it's a folded over collar. And so when I had folded it over, I think I knitted it down, you know, like knit the edge together with the inside. And I have a really bad habit. I've kind of stopped doing that at this point because I've realized that I just don't seem to be able to do that, the knit down version of that, without going too tight. And so my collar was too tight and it was like pulling, it was cinching everything in, and I could see it was not going to lay right. And so that was what had stopped me, was like that really needed to be addressed. So when I resurrected this, I think I got this out during my spring break last year, and was like, okay, I'm gonna get it done, you know, during spring break. And so I just forced myself to unpick that collar and sew it down. So it was much better. And then I had to do the steeking, and I think I was planning to needle felt that steek, but then I got concerned because that lace weight is so light, and so I was afraid that I was gonna just tear my yarn up if I did the needle felting, and so I hand crocheted, and then I think I sewed on my machine as well. Sewed a lot on that one before finally cutting the steek and then putting on the button band. And it really didn't take long once I got going. I love the finishings on that piece. Like they feel, because the alpaca cloud lace is super, super light, but when you have it, you know, held double and then that's doubled over on itself, it just creates this very fluffy, airy fabric on those folded over finishes. So I really like those. The whole thing is a little bit too long for me, so I don't know why I'm backing up here. Since I'm not wearing it, but I'll put pictures up there and you can see it's just quite long on me, and it's not that long on the model. So this is probably just an issue of my row gauge was off and I didn't take that into account. I do believe this one was knit bottom up, so like there's no trying it on. This is why I don't like bottom up garments. It's really hard to get the fit right, and I have another one coming up where the same thing happened to me. But yeah, glad I did it. It was an interesting experience, and I think the finished garment is nice. But yeah, a little too long. So I'm not sure. No, I did a ratings for this one, so I don't know. You'll have to see what I said over there. Probably like a 3 or something is what I'm guessing I gave this one. And yeah, so that was number 6. All right, number 6 is... Oh wait, no, this is not number 6. This is number 7. This is Spark by Andrea Mowry. I knit the size 4 in this one. I used Chroma Twist Worsted in the colorway Fathom. Sorry, this is Knit Picks Chroma Twist Worsted, and Knit Picks High Desert Worsted is my contrast, or my main color here. Let me back up. All right, so as I alluded to, this is another one that irritates me. So I think I gave this one a 2 or 3. It is knit bottom up, and so because of that, it's just really hard for me to get a good fit. The whole thing is a little bit long for me. I think it's longer on me proportionately than it is on Andrea Mowry. I think she's quite tall and I am not. And definitely I have long arms, but look how long my arms are. My fingers just stick out. And another thing that I dislike about this is that the sleeves are very tight, which I knew that about Andrea Mowry, and yet I did not size up, I don't think, on those arms. I know that's what a lot of people do to address that, is they'll knit a size larger or a size or 2 larger, use the stitch counts for their sleeves. This is not that the pattern itself is bad, but I'm sure that my row gauge was off. And so because of that, like, I should have done the math and figured out to cut out part of this section in here so that this wouldn't be as long. But also, like, you can see that the top portion is really just too big. Like, my armpit is here and all of that is down there. So this is like both oversized and yet really tight sleeves. So I just find it very uncomfortable to wear. I don't like the feeling of the sleeves. I don't like how long it is, and maybe this is just not a good style for me too. Like, I don't need added oomph around my hips, which are also, you know, quite large. So, you know, I don't think that I should be doing that. Like, the ties, my waist is actually up here. So I've talked about before, like, something that would probably help me a little bit on this is if I raised the belt loops up on this so that they were actually at my waist instead of down here. But this tie is really heavy. It's double knit. and so it's quite heavy and wants to pull everything down even worse. So yeah, I do not love this one. The whole reason that I made it was to use up this chroma worsted, which I do like that. And I think that this, I think the yarn works well. But I really only used maybe 2 balls of this. And for some reason I bought an entire sweater's quantity. So I still have like 8 balls of this, like 800 grams, I think, still floating around, and I'm just gonna make a blanket with the rest of that. So yeah, so this one was this was a bit of a bummer. Let's see, and it was on my needles. You can tell I was bummed out by it, by the length of time it stayed on my needles. It was started February 13th, and I did not finish it until May the 6th. And most of the vast majority of it was knit like literally in 1 week. I think all of the body and the sleeves were done, because I remember working on this on Valentine's Day or weekend or something. I remember we watched the birds, my husband and my kids and I did, and I was working on this, and I don't know why we watched that on Valentine's Day, but we did. And yeah, so the vast majority was done, but then you have to pick up and like you steek it, and then you pick up and knit the collar, and then you have the belt to do. And I ran out of yarn when I was in the middle of the belt, and so I had to wait until I got more of that. And fortunately, there wasn't like, this is bare, high desert, so there wasn't a dye lot or anything on it, but it looked fine. You couldn't tell that it was different. The double knitting just takes a long time. I would work on this in the mornings while I was waiting on my kids to get ready, for us to get ready and go to school. Just sit down and do a few rows of that. And so that's also part of the reason why it took me so long. Plus, I was, there was no way I was going to be able to wear a worsted weight colorwork sweater in April. So I was not super motivated to move fast on this one. I did enter this one into the State Fair cardigan category, I think, and won for that. So there was something, like, I think it looks nice. It's just a bit of a bummer for me. Did not really enjoy this one. Did I say I knit the size 4 in this? Yeah, so this was my 7th garment of the year. All right, that brings us to some warm weather knits. So this is number 8. This is the Summer Snow Top, which I test knit for Joanna Ang. I made the size 3. And I knit this in Knit Picks Galileo in the colorway Stardust. And it has lace and so many baubles. So each of these little bauble sections, the blossoms have 4 baubles in each of them. So you can guess how long those took. I love this. This is, I'll talk about my favorites at the end of this, but this is one of the ones I'm most proud of from last year, because it was really challenging. It was an unusual construction, and just the lace and the baubles. You have to knit flat until you get to this point. So the front and the back had to be knit flat. So you were doing lace, like there were no rest rows. You were doing lace even on the back side. There was just a lot going on. Let me go back up so you can get the full view. And this one has a great drape. So Knit Picks Galileo has rayon or bamboo. Sorry, I did not look up the mixture. It's wool and some kind of cellulose fabric. And so the drape is really good. I think that the lace looks gorgeous in this. And one of the reasons that I'm really happy with this is because I actually had knit this up several years ago into a summer top, and I just never liked it. I didn't think it just didn't do anything for me. The pattern was called like Art Deco or something, and it's really beautiful. I just didn't love it. And I never wore it. And so I was finally like, you know what? It's stupid to have something that I never wear. I'm just going to unwind that yarn. And then I decided it would probably look really good in this. And I think it does. Yeah, so I think this is a perfect pairing of yarn and pattern. I love it. Yeah, this is not something that I can wear in the height of summer, but I did get a fair bit of wear out of this in the late spring. I feel like it's office appropriate with something underneath it, obviously. And yeah, I'm just really happy with this one. I love it. Yeah, so that is number 8 and the beginning of many warm weather knits. All right, next up, number 9 is the Anacortes Pullover by Michi Fraz Knits or Michelle Frazetta. And actually, looking at my book, I started this one and finished it before my summer snow tea, so I don't know why I got these out of order, but there was overlap between these two. So I did the size 4 in this. This was a test knit for Michelle. I made mine out of Knit Picks woolen cotton, which is I think half wool, half cotton, in the colorway Peacoat Heather. And it's hard to see because my color is so dark, but there's this beautiful broken rib texture all around with twisted rib details that start in the collar and go all the way down and then go down to the hem. And I'll back out so you can see. And this is one where I did put in short rows. They were not written into the pattern, but I put them in myself here. Michelle was kind enough to let me do that. And because of that, I got a pretty even hang on my front and back. Otherwise, this one definitely would have been up higher since it is a little more form-fitting. So the knitting experience on this was really good. Let's see, I started it March 30th and finished April 22nd. I had no trouble whatsoever. I think I put this as a 4 out of 5 on my happiness rating, and that's really just because of the neck. It is quite high, and I think I mentioned earlier with my Arctic Light sweater, I really don't like necklines that are too high on my neck, and this one is just high enough to irritate me. And it does have short row shaping though, so it's not the fault of the pattern, it's just the kind of neckline that it comes with. This is, I think Michelle has said before that she really likes a neckline that's up really close to the neck, and it's just not for me. I like lower necklines. Oftentimes people complain about necklines that are further out on them, but I like those. So yeah, if I were to make this again, I would probably start with a larger size so that my neckline would be a little bit bigger, like cast on more stitches there, and just not do as many increases going out. But yeah, I do get compliments on this one. I think it looks really nice. Definitely wear this one to work. It makes a good base to, wear other things on. I also think it's just, with being as busty as I am, it's a great expanse of navy. So like it really needs something to break it up. And that's another reason why I like a lower neck. So it just doesn't make me look quite as big. But yeah, like I said, no issue with the pattern. It's just more how it fits me there. And I feel like this yarn I have not worn this a ton, but I feel like this yarn has worn really nicely. Like there's no pilling on this whatsoever. So yeah, number 9. All right, next up, number 10 is my Lavender Tank Top. This is a pattern by Along Avec Anna. I made the size 5. And I made it with Drops Cotton Merino. Let me see if I can get closer. Drops Cotton Merino in some colors. I don't know. They do like a number color. So if you really want the information, you can go find that on my Ravelry. This one is bra friendly, although oh, that's not my bra. That's my tank top that's sticking out there. Yeah. I find this to be quite bra friendly. And let me back away so you can see the cutest feature of this one. A little bow in the back. So this was my spring of double knitting because I was actually working on this one at the same time as I was working on the Spark Cardi. So let's see, I started this one March 20th and then finished it May 13th. When I first started this one, I was not loving it. I don't remember, like, I think I didn't super enjoy the yarn, and I was disappointed with my colors because I ordered this online, you know, from Europe, some drops retailer, and I didn't feel like the colors on screen matched very well what I got, and so I was a little disappointed with my colors. And yeah, so for whatever reason, with my disappointment, I set it down and left it alone for a couple of weeks, worked on, for sure, the Anacortes Pullover in there, and then somewhere, at some point, picked it back up and really enjoyed it and it might have been that it was like when I was working on the top part, and so it was flat. I don't know. At some point, I picked it back up and was like, what was I not enjoying about this? I don't know, because I had a good time with it the rest of the way. Yeah, so overall, I feel like this was a pretty easy knit. It's been so long ago that I don't remember a ton of details about it. I like the double knit band at the bottom. It does make it kind of heavy. The tie is a little bit heavy, you know, a little droopy. I don't know that you could do anything about that except to use a different yarn, like maybe a fingering weight yarn or something for this, because the Drops Cotton Merino is, I think, DK. I partly got this to compare it to the Knit Picks Wool and Cotton, and the Cotton Merino is way lighter than the wool and cotton. The wool and cotton feels much heavier. It feels a lot more like a true DK, where I would say this is maybe more like a sport or something. And I found the cotton merino, the Drops Cotton Merino, to be way splittier. So it was a very irritating yarn to work with. You might want to get your blunt needles out for this one. And that might have been part of what was annoying me. But I think it's really cute. Yeah, even if the colors weren't quite what I had envisioned, I have worn this one a lot. Again, I might not wear this in like August, but I wore it plenty during the summer. Yeah, I think it's very cute. Yeah, so that was a number 10. Next up, number 11 is the KP Yoke Rasen or Rasen. I'm not really sure how you pronounce that. By the designer Ririko. I don't know how to say her name. I made the size 5. This was a pattern I saw posted sometime when I was up in the middle of the night looking on Ravelry because I couldn't sleep, and it has this beautiful spiral pattern that just goes all around the yoke. And so it is a circular yoke pattern. And one of the cute little details is this box pleat that you make for the sleeve. And the sleeves are meant to be 3/4 length. I think that they're super cute. It's also A-line. This is maybe the only A-line piece that I've ever made. And and I don't hate it. This is, let's see, the yarn I used was Pearl Soho Linen Quill in the colorway raspberry something. Raspberry, oh, not raspberry, rhubarb pink. Yeah, rhubarb pink. And I think that this yarn is absolutely perfect for this pattern. Linen Quill is super light and drapey. Look at that beautiful drape. This is a really simple top. Like there's nothing tricky about it, and I think that the pattern is very memorizable because all it is, you know, you do a purl stitch to maintain that spiral. And yeah, so super easy. And this is one that I was just knitting on kind of in the background, so it took me a little while, February 23rd to May 22nd, because yeah, at some point I was like, okay, it's gonna be too hot to wear this, you know, once I started getting into April and May, and so like there's no point in working hard on this one. So I think I finally finished it after school was out, and yeah. So I have not gotten a ton of wear out of this one just because I think this looks more like a early spring is when I envision myself wearing this, you know, in February, March, on those not cold but also not warm days. It will be perfect for that. The few times I have worn it, the box pleats on the cuffs, which is, like I said, one of the cutest parts of this pattern, I also find to be a little irritating, because, and maybe it's not the box pleats problem. Maybe I just bound off too tight, but like my bind off is not stretchy enough. It would be fine if it was at my wrist, but because it's up here on this part of my arm, I really feel it. And sometimes it gets, you know, it doesn't move easily up and down my arm, because it is not stretchy. So it'll like get stuck on my elbows or something. And I find myself having to fiddle with that. So if I were to make this again, I would be sure to use a stretchy bind off on that. But otherwise, yeah, I think this one's super cute. We have the Movement Tee. This is a t-shirt from Lily Kate Makes, Lily Kate France, and I made mine out of Drops Bell. I don't know, check my Ravelry for the colorway numbers. I made a mashup of the size 4 and the 5. I think my gauge was off on this one, and so I think my gauge was tighter. I think I would have been a size 4, but because I was working at a tighter gauge, I was intending to work the size 5, but then I think somewhere my numbers got off. Anyway, so you know, this was not exactly to pattern, but it's just a really cute, simple little raglan. It has, you know, a turned collar and sleeves. You don't do that on the bottom because she said it would add too much bulk, so we just have a basic ribbed button band or hem band down there. Let me turn around. This pattern does have short rows instructions for working short rows, so you can see mine right here. That's the pink section that's a lot bigger. Yeah, so she gives you instructions on how to do that. They're optional, of course, but I love working short rows in my stuff because it makes my finished product hang so much better. Because if I didn't have those in here, like that's the amount, this extra amount that you see there is what like my shirt would be pulling up. See that? How it slopes. That's what the short rows do. Like they drop that front. They give your boobs extra fabric in there so that they are not pulling up. So this is the pattern that made me a believer in Lily Kate France patterns. She, I think, does a really good job of creating a more tailored looking fit. I think she designs for a curvier body than what a lot of the popular designers do. She has some, you know, really oversized garments, but a lot of her stuff is more form-fitting and more kind, I think, to the curvy body. Because in my opinion, I like the way that my body looks in more fitted stuff. Like, I don't mean skin tight, but like more fitted makes your curves look like curves and not like you're just wearing a huge potato sack. Because that's kind of how those oversized pullovers tend to look on me, in my opinion. So Lily Kate herself is super tiny, so she does not have like the same body as me, but I think her designs look nice on my body type. So yeah, I am currently working on another Lily Kate France pattern, and I have a couple of more in my queue. I definitely I'm going to make more of her things, and I would love to make another movement tee. I have worn this. I wore this throughout the summer. I think it looks really cute under, I have like some overall things. And anyway, I have loved this. So would definitely make this again. I think I immediately bought more drop spell to make this in another color. I love the stripes. And did I say how long this is on my needles? I don't think I did. I started this May 16th and I finished it June 7th. And part of that time was overseas shipping because I did not have enough to finish in my initial order. And I don't think that was not the fault of the pattern. I think I just misread or mismathed how much I was gonna need. So highly recommend this one. I gave it 5 out of 5 kitties. Very pleased with it. I will most likely make another one of these. The neck on this is fairly high. I would like it if it were lower, but it is not so high that it annoys me. So it's just a hair lower than the Anacortes Pullover, and I don't find the drop spell doesn't have any wool in it at all. So I find it to not be irritating whatsoever. And that probably helps as well. So yeah, 5 out of 5. Love this one. All right, number 13 is another warm weather make. This is the Ebba Vest by Sari Nordland. And it is also knit and drop spell. Man, oh, look at that lace. It looks so good. Oh, I love it. All right, I made this size 4, and like I said, this is drop spell in, I don't know, beige. I started this one on May 30th, which I think was possibly the day the pattern came out, or very close. I remember I bought this one like as soon as the pattern came out. And yeah, so started at May 30th and finished June 9th. And my only issue with this one was I remember I had a terrible time with the sleeve band and I think the, what do you call it? It's not a collar. Oh my goodness, words are hard. The neckband. I had issues because this drop spell is, you know, it's cotton and linen and viscose. I think it's not a stretchy yarn, and I think that is going to make a difference in how you have to pick up. And then also the bind off, I'm sure that this called for a tubular bind off, and it looks like I did do a tubular bind off, at least on this part. But I remember, sorry, I did not go look back at my notes. I'm just remembering I had some kind of a terrible time. I remember picking these out and redoing them multiple times, redoing the bind off before finally getting things done. And yeah, but that has all been forgotten, whatever torment I went through there. I found the lace to be very easy. I remember working on this when I was on vacation. And it was, yeah, I found it to be quite intuitive. and a very quick knit. Overall, I have loved wearing this one. Again, like I find the Drops Bell to be very comfortable to wear. I think it looks so nice. I have a long brown skirt that I like to wear this one with, and I have worn it to work. I think it's very cute. It would also look super cute under like a blazer or something. I have not done that. I have so many sweaters. I don't need to wear my warm weather knits in the winter, but I think I could for sure. So Ebba Vest by Sari Nordlund. Love it. Highly recommend. All right, here we have number 14. This is the Summer Flow, a tank top by Stephanie Lotvin. I tested this one over the summer. Let's see, I started it on June the 12th and ended on June 19th. And I think I was actually out of town for part of that. So this one was super, super quick, just a matter of days. And I made the size 4, and I continued my journey into the Drops yarn offerings and tried out the Drops Cotton Light for this one. Yeah, let's see. I guess I'll back up so you guys can get a full view. So I said that I thought I had only knit one A-line, but this is actually an A-line as well. So two A-lines. And it has, this panel here is a twisted stitch panel, which is really interesting. It just creates an interesting little texture. So this is one time when you're twisting your stitches, and it's on purpose. Yeah. And I did not do short rows in this. If you were working a solid color or a larger striped version, you could work short rows into this. But if you're doing the every other row stripe pattern, you can't do short rows to create bust shaping. So you can see this is what happens when I don't do that. But I still think it's super cute, very easy. The stripes were very, very fun to knit, and yeah, really enjoyed this pattern. I'm trying to figure out if I remember I spilled something on this summer, and I think it might have left a stain. I feel like I can see something right there. So yeah, I can't remember if I gave this one 5 out of 5 or 4 out of 5. The only thing I don't love is the yarn. This yarn has some polyester or acrylic content to it, and it just doesn't feel quite as nice. I think Stephanie used Pearl Soho in their 100% cotton, which is probably lovely, but costs 5 or 6 times the amount of this Drops Cotton Light. The Cotton Light is, I think, maybe the cheapest thing that they have. It was like literally less than $2 a ball. So this whole thing, even with buying all of the different colors, because you don't use nearly all of the, of your contrast color balls, I think it was still under $15. So this is a very affordable yarn if you buy that one. But yeah, super cute. I could definitely see myself making more of these. Some of the testers made multiple versions of this just during the testing period. So very fun and very fast. All right, I'm back to talk about, I'll have to put up pictures over here of my 17th garment for the year. It was the Zephyr Tee. I made this as a sample for a yarn shop in Illinois called Fiber and Stem. Let's see, the Zephyr Tee is a pattern by Samantha Guerin, and I made the size 3, not for me, because I think I would make the size 4 if I were to make this. I made the size 3, and the yarn that they sent me to use was Leading Men Fiber Arts Diva Fingering in the color Heliotrope, which is this beautiful purple. Hopefully I'll have the picture up there so you can see that. Yeah, this pattern is super, super detailed. It has these gorgeous cables. The yarn was super lovely to work with. It has silk content, so it's super drapey. It's silk and wool. Super drapey, a little bit shiny, and the color was just beautiful. And yeah, really no notes on this one. I have no idea how it holds up or how it wears since it was not for me. I started it on June the 27th and finished it on July 15th. So, it was pretty detailed. Like I remember this one taking longer than I was expecting for a tee. Even though I remember the gauge being a little bit bigger than what I expected, but super, super detailed. And because of that pattern, I definitely will have my eye on Samantha Guerin and working some more of her designs. And I could see myself making this one for myself as well. In fact, I got some of that same that same yarn, not in the heliotrope, but a different colorway. And maybe I will. I don't think I have quite enough to make it in my size. But yeah, I could definitely see myself using it on another Samantha Guerin pattern. So that was my number 17. This actually came before I finished the Zephyr Tee. It's a little bit earlier in the summer. This is the Everyday Attitude by Suzanne Summer. And I knit it in Barocco Remix Light, which is like a recycled yarn. It has cotton and maybe some kind of cellulose. And then I think there's also some acrylic in it. And so it's supposed to be, you know, kind of a warm weather yarn. And this was knit all in garter stitch. So it's very, very nubbly. I started this on May the 23rd and I finished it July 22nd. And I enjoyed wearing this one over the summer. I think it's really cute. I will probably never make it again. I did not especially love making it. It was just boring. Like it's just a lot of garter stitch. You have pretty slip stitch, patterning down the side, I think to keep it from making a weird jog, which is super smart that she did something on the side so you wouldn't have that ugly jog. I believe I extended something around the top part to create a little bit more room for my bust. And I'm happy with that. Like my sleeves are a little bit low probably because of that, but like I don't wear this one to work anyway, so I don't care. I don't even think my bra really shows that bad though. But it just creates more space. Like I definitely don't want a tight armpit, and by lowering that I also like created more space because again I wasn't going to be able to work short rows on this. So if I hadn't done that and my bust was taking up more of that room, I would have had even worse pulling up than what I have. But yeah, I like the sleeves. I think are the best part of this. That's for sure my favorite part is that diagonal meeting here. And at this point, I don't remember how she did that, but it's like not hard to do at all. And it's just, you know, just an ingenious little design. And you have these nice rolled hem finishes, which I think I don't always like those, but I think it's perfect for this. And I just realized this is a turned hem. So you have a really nice polished looking bottom to this that helps pull this down, because I bet this would be kind of floaty if it was just left out. Like if this was just like a rolled hem at the bottom, I bet it would flare worse than it does. Yeah, so this was a really nice one, and I have gotten some good wear out of it. All right, next up we have the Scrappy Yoke Pullover by Olga Pitano. This was a test knit that I did during the summer, and this one was really hard because we couldn't show off the full thing. We could show like a partial picture, but we weren't supposed to show more than what Olga had released already. So I kind of had to sit on this one until deep into the fall. This one was super fast for me. I started it June 26th and finished it July 5th. So all over fingering weight, all over colorwork sweater. Only took, what is that? Like a week and a half. It was obviously quite potato chip knitting. I used Knit Picks Hawthorne in, mostly these are kettle dyed colors. These were all ones that I had in stash. I just pulled out my Hawthorne stash and looked through and chose ones that I thought would look good together, and I absolutely do not remember all of the colors, so if you're interested in those, check out my Ravelry. I haven't said this before, but I'll have linked all of my projects down in the description, so you can just go to the project you're interested in and click on that link and it will take you straight there, so you don't have to go scroll through everything. Yeah, what do I have to say about this one? I knit the size 4. This was my first Olga Pitano pattern, and she just released a book after, I don't know, it was a little before I think she released this one, and she has some really pretty stuff in there. I love her aesthetic. This is probably one of my least favorite test knits that I've ever done though. The pattern was amazing. Love the pattern. I did not have any problems with it. But my problem was with how the test knit was run. It was on a Google Doc. That was all that we had. And we could make comments on the Google Doc, but there was no group where you could, you know, talk to people. And Olga sort of ghosted the test, wasn't really around to answer any questions. And so people were just sort of left to fend for themselves. And like I said, I didn't have any problems with my size, but I know there were some people who did have some issues with some of the, and of course I think it was the larger sizes. So people who are already having to knit more and need longer time and then weren't getting their questions answered. And yeah, it was just super frustrating because you literally had no way to know who else was doing the test. I guess you could have left a note in the Google Doc saying, somebody please help me. But, and then hope somebody would read that and make a comment to you. But yeah, it was frustrating. And it would definitely make me think twice before doing another test that is run that way. I'm actually doing another test right now that is via Google Docs, and I'm a little concerned about that, except the designer has said that there will be an Instagram chat group, which makes me feel a lot better. She's also answered an email already from me, so I don't think that she's gonna ghost the group. So, but yeah, like I love this. It's a pretty, it's not a super tight gauge. I love Hawthorne for sweaters. It just makes such a nice springy fabric, springy as in boingy, bouncy, not the weather. And I find it very comfortable to wear. You can wear a sweater like this in weather that is much warmer, obviously, than you could wear something that's worsted weight. So yeah, really happy with this one. I saw after I had started this one, I saw somebody on Reddit say something about clowncore as an aesthetic, and I was like, oh my goodness, I think that might be me. But what can I say? I love it. Yeah, no regrets. 5 of 5. 19, we have yet another Sorry Nordland pattern. This is the Stars Hollow Pullover. I made the size 3. I used Andes Dal Campo undyed, just the bare. This was some yarn that I picked up a couple of years ago, I think in their summer sale, at some sort of a steal of a deal. I want to say it was like maybe $2 a skein or something for a 100 gram hank. and I snagged it because I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but that's enough to make a sweater, and it's 100% wool, and yeah, super happy. So when I saw the Star Hollow pullover, when Sari released that pattern, I think at the end of 2024, I love the Gilmore Girls. I love their sweaters. I was like, I think that Andes del Campo will be perfect for that. And it is. I could not be happier. I think the pattern calls for an Aran weight, and the Andes del Campo is heavier than like the wool of the Andes. So I think they actually classify it as an Aran weight. So it was pretty perfect. Yeah, I worked on this from May 25th and finished it July 17th. So I was working on this kind of in the background with a lot of those other summer knits. I would, work on this for a while, and then it was obviously not a super portable, couldn't work on this away from home. I did start this actually when we were on vacation. I knit, I think, the back section when we were on our vacation around Memorial Day. But yeah, knit the rest of this at home on the couch in the heat of the summer. So it was completely ridiculous to be working on an Aran weight, 100% wool pullover, but I did. And isn't the cabling so good? Oh, I love it. So I wore this cream color is not at all good for my skin, but it was perfect as a backdrop for like my Christmas cowl. I love the folded collar. And see, it might bother some people that it's like further away, but I love that. I don't want it right up on my neck. Yeah, I'm super happy with this one. Love it. It's not been cold enough to wear this one very much. I've only worn it a couple of times, so I can't really tell much about pilling and so forth, but so far, so good. I'm just worried about spilling something on this. I am hoping to, assuming I can keep this in good shape, I'm planning to enter this one into the state fair next year in the pullover category, because I think that the judges liked cables. Yeah, so 5 out of 5, very happy with this one. All right, number 19. This is the 3-season cardigan by Wool and Pine Designs. I knit this in Knit Picks Comfy Color Mist, which was a version of their Comfy yarn, which is like an acrylic cotton blend in the worsted weight, and they no longer make the Color Mist. But it's just the Comfy base, so you can still get that. Let's see, I started this one August the 1st of 2024, and I finished it August the 3rd of 2025. And I made the size 3. So let me show you why it took me a year to finish this. Hopefully it shows up. Can you see the band of color, or the color change in the back? Yeah, this yarn, like, it was all the same dye lot. I bought it all at the same time, but as I was knitting on the back side, and I started another ball, I did not see this immediately, but like after I had already knit through basically the entire back, I noticed that when I started that second ball, it was a very different color, or the speckling maybe was more intense on it. Something was different to the point where you could see a clear line of demarcation. So I had finished all of the back, and maybe I had all of the back and both of the fronts. I can't remember, or maybe I don't remember. I had finished part of it when I first started it, like, you know, had done a week or two's worth of work and done a lot of it, and then it just sat there in a bag, much like my classic lines cardie. And because I was trying to decide if I should rip it out, if I, you know, because probably what I should have done was ripped it out and then done like alternated skeins to break in all of those other ones, but I'm too lazy and didn't want to reknit this. This is also like quite an intricate pattern, the cabling pattern, and I just like, I could not mentally face ripping all of that work out. And it was like, I would just rather not knit it, or I would rather knit the whole thing again than rip part of it out. And so then I was like, well, so what I thought I would do when I picked it up and restarted it was, I will just over dye it. That was my plan, was to get some like RIT dye and turn the whole thing like a dark navy blue. And, you know, that probably wouldn't show the pattern super great, but, you know, I was hopeful that it would blend. But once I got my fronts on and got it all done, then now I'm like, well, it looks cute from the front. And I don't have to see the back. So I posted it like on my social media and I was like, what would you do? You know, would you leave it as is, or would you dye it? You know, take the chance of dyeing it, not knowing how it's going to come out. And people were like, oh, I wouldn't even know there was anything wrong with it if you hadn't pointed it out. So, yeah, even though that stripe is quite obvious to me, I don't know how much non-knitters would think about it. And now that it's on my back, I don't even care. Yeah, so I'm glad that I finished this one, and I will not be over dyeing it. I have enjoyed wearing this one during the fall. I would not normally style it like this. I have a dress that I wear it over a navy dress, and it looks really cute. The lace on the arms, is that showing? The lace on the arms and down here mean that it's pretty cool. Like you're able, like it really is, like it says, a 3 seasons sweater. Like you can wear it in the earlier fall, and I'll be able to wear it in the spring again. I would not wear it in the depths of winter, just because like this does provide ventilation. Like I can feel, because sometimes I'll feel, you know, I'll feel the wind and be like, what is going on? And then I realize, oh, it's because I got this lace on. That's why I'm feeling a draft. So yeah, the lace really does provide ventilation. In terms of construction, this one is seamed, but I don't consider myself to be somebody who likes seaming, but I really didn't find it that bad. I think the 3 Seasons series of Wool and Pine is fantastic. At the time, I think just after I had started this one, Wool and Pine put up a tester call for their pullover version of this one. And so that was probably part of the reason this got abandoned, was because I knit the pullover version. And love that one. I actually like the fit of this one better. This yarn is much drapier than the yarn that I used in my pullover. So I kind of wish I had this fit in the pullover version that I did, but I love my pullover version. It's very pretty. Yeah, so this is the 3 Seasons cardigan. Very long, lingering, and I don't know if I gave it a 4 out of 5. I mean, really, it's a 5 out of 5 because I don't have to see the back, and maybe that's what I said on my star system over there. All right, number 20. This is another Opa cardigan. This one, so the one I showed at the very beginning was the My Opa cardigan, and this one is just Opa cardigan. It was called Darius at the time that I was testing it, but the designer changed the name before she released it. So this is a pattern by Jennifer Owens. It's got a beautiful twisted cabling. And what to say about this one? I knit the size 5. I knit mine in Knit Picks High Desert Sport. Let me back up so you can see the whole thing. It's cropped. The cabling is continued on the back. I think it's been a while since I worked on this, but I think you start on the back and you knit your back and then you pick up, and the cables do meet. I think there was a lot of conversation around Sorry Nordland's book club cardigan where the shoulder cardigans like the shoulder cables like don't meet up correctly, but they do on this one, and it is drop sleeved. And I loved that this one has an integrated button band. It's just a rib. That's all we've got going on here. It's not double knit or anything like that. So that when you're done with the body, like you're done, you don't have to go back and pick anything up. That's nice. You just pick up for the sleeves and knit those down. The sleeves repeat. It's the same pattern that you've been doing in the body. And yeah, I really loved this one. I think it's just a very classic looking cardigan. I have loved wearing it. The sport is a great weight because it's, you know, thick enough that it goes faster than a fingering weight cardigan would go, but it's light enough that you can wear it, not in the dead of winter when it's super cold. So I have worn this one. I've been wearing it to work. I have found it very comfortable. I love, 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 love high desert yarn. If I could only take one yarn and only knit with it forever on a deserted island, it would be high desert. I love it. It's so soft. This one really hasn't been in rotation long enough to say anything significant about pilling. I do find that high desert pills a little bit, which is not surprising given how soft it is, but it does clean up easily. So yeah, really like this one. I'm not remembering where it happened, but I do know that somewhere in this one, it's probably on the back. I noticed that I was getting some rowing out, which is not normally a problem that I have. And so I was going, well, what's going on? You know, has my knitting gauge changed and now I'm going to have to deal with rowing out? And so I was like going to do the thing where you have one needle size larger and one needle size smaller to account for the rowing out. And when I looked at my needles to make that change, I realized that I was already knitting with one size here and a different size here on the other end of my interchangeables. Yeah, so I was causing my rowing out because I was using two different needle sizes. So that was kind of funny. And I did not rip it out. I was just like, I will live with whatever part is rowed out if it shows up after blocking. But I don't know if you can tell now. But the pattern is great. I highly recommend it. All right, number 21, we have my EnolaV, which is a pattern by Jennifer Shields Tolan. Has this cute little shoulder pattern and the V-neck, why it's called the EnolaV. This, like I said, is a pattern by Jennifer Shields Tolan. I made the size 4, and I knit mine in Holst Garn Coast, and the color Wisteria. And you're gonna see this color, this lavender color is gonna come up 2 more times in other yarn and other makes. So apparently I went on a lavender kick this fall. So this pattern actually has short rows written into it, and I did do them, but I think I should have done more because I am still getting some pulling up there. It also has the option to do waist decreases, which I had planned to do and then forgot. And so I just got like, I was just knitting and forgot that that was a thing and that I had been planning to do it, you know, wasn't going and reading my directions anymore. So I completely forgot about those. If I make it again, I will try to remember to do the waist shaping, and I would definitely make this one again. I think the pattern's super cute. It's very easy, but it is not 100% boring because you do have the, you know, a little bit of something to keep you going. I mean, most of the interesting parts are up here, you know, when you're doing the shoulders. But it's, yeah, I enjoyed it. It took me quite a while. Let's see, how long was this on the needles? From July 17th to September 13th. So a couple of months. But that was just because I was only working on it when I needed a completely boring pattern in the round, once I had gotten past this part. So, I also was a little worried about this yarn. I got this yarn when I got my super soft from Holst Garn to make my iris, and I knew that the super soft you have to wash because it has machine oil in it, and that it fluffs up way more, you know, than what you would expect because of that. But I wasn't sure, I hadn't read that about the Coast, and I'm still not sure that it has spinning oil, but it does fluff up tremendously once you've washed it, and it softens up a lot. But when I initially started knitting with it, I was getting, like, it looks so sheer, the gauge did, and so I was really concerned that I was gonna put all this time into knitting something and then have to wear a shirt underneath it. But I don't. I would not normally wear this with a camisole underneath it. It's fine without it, and it is so light and drapey and comfortable. It has such an interesting texture. It's almost papery. I would definitely knit with it again. I really enjoyed, well, I wouldn't say I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed the wearing of it. Like, it is that the fabric that it creates is that good that I would put up with the maybe less than pleasant process of knitting with it. And it's not that it's uncomfortable to knit with, it's more just that the needles feel too big for the weight of yarn because it's more like lace weight yarn. Also, the yardage on this is really incredible. So there's that going for it as well. But yeah, I highly recommend both the pattern and the Holst Garn Coast. Really liked both of those. So 5 of 5 for this one. All right, next up we have the Instant Gratification Cardigan, and this is a pattern by Mini Me Knits. And I made mine in Knit Picks Wonder Fluff in whatever their black colorway is. It may be called Coal or something. It's a Wonder Fluff is a blown yarn that's mostly alpaca, and it knits up at a bulky weight, but it's super, super light. Yeah, so this is a very, very light cardigan. And I knit this because I had seen somebody else on YouTube make this and talk about like how comfortable it was just to have something to throw on. And I was like, you know, that sounds really good just to have a really soft, fluffy, oversized cardigan. And it is called an Instant Gratification cardi because like there's no finishings. You just knit the thing on really big needles, and yeah, like once you've knit it, you're done. Like there's no going back and picking up stitches or anything. So it was instant gratification as promised. This was on my needles from October 3rd to October the 6th. That was a weekend. So I think I started it Friday and finished it up on Monday after work. And I did have to make some alterations, like in that the sleeves were not going to be long enough for me. So I knit my sleeve cuffs a lot longer than is in the pattern. I also knit my whole thing, my body longer, because it was going to be, it's still quite cropped on me, but it was going to be too cropped if I didn't keep going. The buttonholes, I'm gonna steal this from her the next time I do an integrated button band, because she has you put a marker when you make your buttonholes on one side, you put a marker on the other side, so that you know where your buttonholes go. Or sorry, not where your buttonholes go, where your buttons should go. Don't think I've ever had a designer who has given you the instructions to do that, and it was so simple, but also so genius, because I have the hardest time lining my buttons and stuff up. So I'm definitely planning to steal that one. I have worn this one a couple of times. It really just hasn't been cold enough here yet this year. So I did wear this around Halloween, I remember, and I probably will get more wear out of this. I think I need to go back and tighten up my buttonholes a little bit. I had a hard time with the buttons on these. I ended up doing these, I don't know if you can tell, they're very three-dimensional buttons that I ended up putting on. I was planning on just doing some plain black plastic buttons, but the buttonholes are really small. So I had to like change my plan and get some smaller ones, but now they're like a little maybe too small. So they pop out and my whole thing comes unbuttoned. So anyway, I am glad I got this. I would recommend it if you want something very quick and easy, which I did just want an easy win because I was in the middle of a large project, which will be my next one that I show you. And yeah, so this scratched that itch that I was having of wanting to get something off of the needles quickly. Just sadly, the weather here has not cooperated, so I have not gotten a ton of wear out of this one. Next up at number 23 is the Hearthside Cardigan, which was a pattern I tested for Wool and Pine Designs. And this one is a Scrappy brioche project. So it's brioche and then garter stitch. You have garter here and in your trims, and all the body and sleeves are done in brioche. Let me back up so you can get the full effect. And I will tell you, I never have remembered to actually block my sleeves. So you will sometimes see me like pulling them down. I don't think they're actually too short. I think if I would just take the time to block my sleeves, they would grow, because that's what happened to the body. So I do expect that to happen to my sleeves. I just keep forgetting to do that. This thing is kind of a bear to block. So if I would just put it on my mannequin and steam it, that would probably solve my problem. But okay, so the details on this one. I knit the size 5. Like I said, this was a test knit for Wool and Pine Design. Let's see, I started this on September the 14th and finished it on October the 17th. Knit from all sorts of fingering weight yarns, mostly Hawthorne Stroll and Hawthorne Stroll. No, mostly Knit Picks Hawthorne and Knit Picks Stroll, but also other fingering weight yarns that I had in there. Just that's what most of my collection is. I do remember that this neon color that was scraps that I had left over from a Spun Right Rounds seconds skein. Let me just show you the back again. I love the back. And here's the inside. This is my darker side. I think you could technically reverse this if you wanted to, if you were careful with your seaming, and it would look, quite different. But I wasn't careful with my sewing up of the insides. So I won't be wearing mine backwards, or inside out. Yeah, I told Wool and Pine when we were testing this, and then I have said it since then, I think this is maybe the most fun that I've ever had when I was knitting something. I just totally got into the brioche knitting. When I first I agreed to do the test, and then I got the pattern and started looking at it, and I got overwhelmed and was like, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? But then once I actually started knitting it, it was so fun, and I really loved the repetitive nature of the brioche knit flat. Sorry, I'm repeating myself if you watched my most recent video, but I think most of my brioche knitting in the past has been all done in the round, and I didn't love it. Like it wasn't the worst. It wasn't horrible. But I just didn't enjoy it all that much. And so I was worried that brioche in the flat was going to be worse. But actually I think brioche is easier in the flat, and I really got into it. Yeah, so the only downside I would say to this project is that it's not portable. So because you do have so many yarns hanging off of it at any given time because you're working with multiple strands, it's not portable. But other than that, it's super fun. I would highly, highly recommend it. I loved it. I've gotten a ton of wear out of mine. It's sort of, I wouldn't wear this to work, but I have enjoyed wearing it around the house and out and about on the weekends. And even though it's like technically, I don't know, is it bulky weight? I mean, parts of it are definitely bulky weight where you're holding 4 strands, but is worsted or DK weight brioche? I don't know. Words, guys. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, except that I don't find it like super hot. So I have been able to wear it in the fall and not roast. It would probably not be super warm in the deep winter, unless you were wearing like a sweater underneath it or something. But yeah, so not the fastest knit in the world, but super, super fun. And I think you can really change the look depending on how much you plan and how coordinated your scraps are. This was 100% scrappy. Like I did not really go in with a plan other than to sort my yarns into lights and darks and to try to, you know, if I did a purple on this side, to try to do a purple on that side. That was the extent of my planning. Some people did much more coordinated ones, and so theirs look like a lot more sophisticated. So you can really change the look depending on what you're going for. I love mine as it is though. So 5 of 5, love, love, love. One of my favorite projects ever. For number 25, we have the Petite Knit Zipper Sweater Light making its return. So if you can't tell, I quite modified this. So I left off the whole zipper thing, didn't need another one of those. Basically, I just used this Zipper Sweater Light pattern for the numbers because I wanted a big oversized raglan for this. So the special thing about this one is the yarn. This is Knit Picks Bubbly Boucle. So those are not all pills you see. This is boucle yarn. And it's super soft, and I did all of my folded hems, which are not in the original, those were all modifications. Those are all in this contrast color, which I think this color is definitely called Seltzer, the gray color, and then I think this is called Grape Soda, this dark purple. And so, yeah, like I said, apparently I'm having a purple moment, because this is one of my mini purple things. Yeah, not much to say about this, except, well, I made the same size as I did before, which is a size extra large. Like I said, really just followed it for the numbers. I didn't think through the fact that, the neckline might be a little bit weird. Since the neckline on the Zipper Sweater Light is this really high collar and it opens, you know, and zips up and does all that stuff. Like there's a placket. It's really quite different. So probably not the best one to get my numbers from. And I didn't think about that until I got my collar on and I was like, well, that looks really weird. It's almost like a funnel neck, but I do think it looks weird. I think people, if you were seeing me out and about, would think it was weird. but I actually really like it. It's, since I double, you know, it's doubled, it's very warm and very, very squishy, you know, it's very thick. And so it does kind of stand off, but the standing off is, I like it because it's not, it's warm, but it's not like touching my neck at all. And as I have said, I don't actually like things touching my neck. So this is absolutely perfect for what I wanted it for, which was just an around the house sweatshirt type thing. So let me turn around for you. Yeah, I am super happy with it. I did not enjoy working with the boucle. It was a huge pain. It's hard to do increases. It's hard to do decreases. Part of the reason I did the turned hems everywhere is because I was terrified of trying to knit and purl in this yarn because it's just so hard to see what you're doing. I thought it would be easier to just do the turned hems. Yeah, so really, really happy with this one. We'll never make it again. I will never make a garment with boucle again, but I will enjoy the garment that I have. So 5 of 5, I think. All right, yet another purple one. So this was number 24, number 25. This is the Fernline sweater. It was a test for Joanna Ang. And I knit mine out of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in Sport. And it has all of these beautiful different textures. Got moss stitch, we got this oat stitch, broken rib, and lace. Yeah, so I made the size 4, and I love how it came out. Joanna was kind enough to let me do short row bust shaping. This is not in the pattern. I added this myself. So this is why my broken rib section in the front is quite long. So if you look at it in the back, you will see that it's proportionate to the other sections. So she let me do mine longer, and that has allowed me to get a nice even hang around around the sweater from the front to the back. So I really appreciate that she let me do that. I am much happier with the fit, even though the proportions of my sections are a little bit different. So this one, I love Joanna's pattern. She's super detailed. You're gonna get a perfect rendition of the garment if you follow all of her instructions. I did have a self-created problem, which was that I did not check my I didn't check my yardage at all before I started this. I just assumed like, oh, I thought I had a sweater's quantity. I mean, I had 10 balls of this Wool of the Andes sport, and I thought, well, that's plenty for a sweater. But I didn't really think about it may not be plenty for a long, oversized sweater, and especially one where I'm adding extra length, because I did add extra length to my sleeves, and then I added the extra in my short rows. And yeah, so consequently I did not have enough yarn. I realized this ahead of time, and so I ordered Wool of the Andes. They don't make this color anymore in the sport, so I got it in the worsted. And actually I saved my hem to the end because I was like, you know, when you're mixing dye lots and mixing colors like that, like it's best to put them in the finishings if you can, because they will blend a little bit better there. So I was planning to, you know, use the worsted in the hem, and so that meant I decided to drop a few stitches out, decrease out stitches all the way around, because I knew my gauge was going to be a little bit different there. But I used the recommended needle size just with my worsted, and you can't tell, I don't think, at all. Like, it looks you would never know that I was using a completely different yarn weight, and the color looked perfect to me. So this is the color Haze Heather, and it's really sad they don't have it in the sport anymore. I think it's just a beautiful, beautiful lavender. Yeah, I really like this one because it's so oversized, and because it's sport, and because it has these lacy sections to it. I find this one to be quite cool, and will be able to wear this well into the spring before it becomes hot here. So yeah, and this is a beautiful springy color, so I'm really looking forward to this one come spring. Yeah, so 5 of 5 on this one. All right, and we finally made it to my last knit that I still have, and so I'll be wearing this one for the next two. This is the Deep Winter Sweater by Woolen Pine Designs. This is yet another test knit that I did. I just realized I didn't tell you how long the Fernline was on my needles. The Fernline took from November 2nd to November 26th, and then the Deep Winter took from October 29th to November the 26th. So I finished both this one and the Fernline the same weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. And I started this one, I signed up for this test, I think, while the Hearthside Cardigan was still going on. I was winding that one down, knew my needles would soon be free, and knit this one as soon as I got the yarn. And like I said, continuing my purple theme. This is Knit Picks Wonder Fluff in the colorway Larkspur Heather. This is just a comfy, super comfy, oversized, beautifully cabled, so soft sweater. So this was one of the recommended yarns. The designers used a blown yarn from a European company that they knew people were not going to be able to get easily in the States with our whole tariff situation. So they had just gone ahead and recommended a couple of blown yarns that are more easily available in the US, and Wonder Fluff was one of them. I love Wonder Fluff. I'm a big fan. I knew it would feel very good in that yarn. So I loved working with it. I think the cables show up beautifully in the Wonder Fluff. I would have been a little bit worried about that, but I had seen recently somebody had done a project where they had done cables in Wonder Fluff, and I thought it looked really good. So I was like, okay, you know, I feel like it will show up. I don't mind trying that. My only concern is whether or not the cables will hold up over time, because Wonder Fluff, being an alpaca yarn, does have a tendency to droop and drape. It doesn't have the memory that wool does. So will these cables get stretched out over time? We don't know. Check back in a year or two and I will let you know how it's looking. But right now I love it. So even though I said earlier I don't like something, I don't like neck high, I did want to go for the turtleneck version of this, and I'm glad I did, because this is so warm when, you know, it's perfect for those super cold days. And we have not had a very cold winter so far, but we did have like one severe cold snap, and so I have gotten to wear this a couple of times, and it was absolutely perfect. And it's so comfortable. I find Wonder Fluff, I'm able to wear it next to skin. I'm not alpaca sensitive though, so your mileage may vary on that. Yeah, love this one. I made the size 4, which is the 44 inch. And I could not be happier with it. I absolutely love it. It screams cozy winter vibes to me. And I think that a lot of people have concerns about a bulky sweater. I find that the Wonder Fluff I would say is not a true bulky, especially given that it's a blown yarn. Like, this is so light. This is less than 500 grams for the size 44. And like, if I had used a bulky, like traditionally spun yarn, it would be so much heavier than that. So I find it quite wearable. I don't have the same issue. Like, yeah, I don't know. I just don't, I find bulky, if it's Wonder Fluff, is not that hot. I have a number of garments made out of Wonder Fluff, and I'm able to wear all of them. I really enjoy them. So I highly recommend it. Both the pattern and the yarn. I like both of them. And then finally, I'll have to put a picture up over here. I have the Lakes Pullover, or the Lakes V-Neck Pullover. So this was one that I decided to knit for my son's girlfriend. I had my nieces help to narrow down. I showed them like Ravelry's, you know, Hot Right Now. They looked through like in that order patterns, and they picked a couple that they thought she might like. And then I think my son actually sent her those pictures, and she chose the Lakes V-neck. And I was happy because I'm thinking, okay, if I ever make this again, that would be the one that I would prefer to make for myself. So glad to have that version versus the O-neck. So I made the size extra small, and I knit this in Knit Picks Brava, which is their acrylic in the color Dove Heather. And this was on my needles from November 30th to December 7th. So it turns out when you're knitting worsted weight and the tiniest size, it goes really fast. Who would have guessed? I enjoyed the construction on this one. I think the neck is beautiful. I love, love, love the neck. It's not just a V-neck, it's actually a folded collar, so it feels luxurious to me. And it's so pretty, the V-neck. I love those decreases. It has saddle shoulder construction. So that's always more interesting to me to work than just like a plain raglan or circular neck, but it does also mean you have a lot more ends to weave in, and you have to pay attention a lot more at the beginning. But then like once you get everything joined in the round, you know, it's super straightforward. So I thought it was a well done pattern though. I don't know about fit. I have not seen her yet. He has gifted it to her. She was very grateful, but yeah, I haven't seen her yet since Christmas, their little gift exchange. So hopefully it fits okay. Yeah, so let me look at my book. All right, so what I have in my notes is that I knit 27 total adult garments, and I knit 22 different designers. I went all the way from lace to bulky weight, no super bulky here, and not a lot of bulky, but this would be an exception. I did 8 test knits. I did 2 test knits for Wool & Pine and 2 for Joanna Ang. I also, like, in here, I only showed 1 test knit for Stephanie Lotvin, but I've done lots more tests for her. That was just the only garment that I tested for her this year. Let's see, I was really proud of myself this year. I did 8 warm weather knits, which are just good. I'm glad that I did that because even though they're usually not as fun to knit, I do get a lot of wear out of those because it is hot here for a lot of the year. So if I only were to knit bulky weight sweaters, I would hardly ever get to wear them. Yeah, so I'm glad I did that. I'm glad that I discovered that drop spell. I really like that. I will definitely be using that again. And yeah, making myself some more warm weather knits. Only 8 of the 27 garments that I made were not in Knit Picks yarn. So I am a huge Knit Picks fan and have tried most of their bases. And yeah, as you can tell from watching that, I love them a lot. I do, you know, I like trying other yarns. I just, it's comfortable to go with Knit Picks because I am familiar with most of their lines, and I also know their colors, and you know, like what happened with my Fernline. If I need to switch from the sport to the worsted, I can do that and kind of know what I'm getting. Whereas with other companies that I'm less familiar with all of their yarn lines, like it would be harder to do that. Definitely am a primarily selfish knitter, with only 2 of the knits that I did this year not being for me. I would love to get into more sample knitting. So I did have that 1 sample knit, and I would love to do that more, just because that gives me more opportunity to knit an adult garment, which is what I like to do best, but not have it come sit in my closet, because I am kind of getting to the point where I have a lot of sweaters and only so much time. So how do I wear them all? So sample knitting is a good antidote to that. I am also thinking about doing more gift knitting. I'm sort of on my list of goals for this year is to knit my mother a sweater. So maybe we'll see more of that. So if you are here to the end, thanks so much for hanging out with me. Let me know if you knit any of these, and if so, or I guess what your favorite knit of the year was, regardless of whether it was one of these or not. If you liked, what you saw, please subscribe. I post very intermittently, definitely more in the summer, which is also when my making increases a lot, because that's when I am not in school. So my energy patterns kind of follow the flow of the semester and of the academic semester. And so it is lower when the semester is in session. But yeah, I am knitting all the time though, just not always at the same pace. I hope that you have had a great year of knitting and that you are looking forward to all the things that you'll create in the new year. I will see you next time. Bye.